Carl switched on a buzzing bank of lights at the far end of the basement, wheeled a ticking 10-speed Schwinn to one side, and snatched a bedsheet from his decommissioned drum kit with a magician's flourish that left a quivering hi-hat hissing like a snake. That mothballed setup was once a steel driving machine, an explosive decibel factory that laid steady tracks for the Clown Hunter sound. Now it was a cramped slum of basic shapes on chrome steel stands, a forgotten city silhouette obscured by exhibits of the recreational and leisure pursuits of Carl's dying North American nuclear family. "So when's the last time you saddled up and played those?" I asked. Carl shook his head, half shrugged, and stretched his arms apart as if estimating the size of something mysterious he'd only glimpsed from a distance. His hands dropped like two shot birds, palms cracked against his sides, and he took a deep breath. Came up on his toes and rocked back, staring at the floor, shaking his head, stumped. This was proof you'd reached the real Carl, when a response to your statement or question wasn't immediately batted back at you. I knew now we were talking about a system he couldn't scam, a code he couldn't crack. It was the same expression, the same broken robot cut puppet body language he used when he said he couldn't move to Seattle with me because his dad was dying. He cast the sheet over the drum kit and snapped off the lights. "You ever try to find someone who needs a drummer?" I asked. "Set those things up and play?" "Yeah, what, haul these into a coffee shop for an open mic night? No. I see Dave and Pete once in a while, but they don't play anymore. And I don't even have time. My world is small now, man. I'm looking after my mom and..." He raised his arms again, exhaled and let them fall softly. "That's pretty much my life." He rolled the bicycle back in front of the drums. "Clown Hunter was your band, Vincent. You wrote the songs, you organized every practice, you made all that happen. If YouTube was around back then, I know we would have gotten serious exposure." He was right. Indie success stories in the 80s and 90s were limited by a real-world bandwidth of opportunity. There were only so many clubs hosting shows and a finite number of dates each year for a lucky number of bands to play. Oh, and you had to be really goddamn good. Carl nodded toward my guitar in the corner. "You set fire to a man's house, he's going to grab his most valuable possession going out the door. You lost your job, your girl kicked you out, and what did you do? Hit the streets with your fucking Fender. Absolutely badass." "Carl, I know you don't think your session work was a big deal, but I was proud of you. I still am. I was telling everybody, fucking yeah, Vincent's a professional musician in Seattle. He's doing it. You did it. Man, I played a lot of radio ads, scored a video game about wizards, I wrote some atmospheric filler for a couple of indie films, but it's not like I went up there and made pet sounds, okay? It was work, just paying the bills." "So fucking what?" Carl said. "You weren't wearing a name tag, sitting under a headset in a call center. You made a living with those strings, and that makes you a professional. I haven't seen you since last summer, but here you are, pounding the pavement like El Mariachi at the end of the world." Carl went to his dad's old workbench in the corner, opened a cabinet beneath it, and said, "If this house was burning right now and I didn't have to worry about my mom, I'd probably run out of here with all her meds in my Xbox." He found a 5-gallon bucket, placed it on the floor near my head, and stood over me, pointed toward the dark end of the basement. "That was the first time I've looked at those drums since I dumped them down here. But there's no dust on your guitar. You never gave up the dream. I wish you felt good about that." Carl walked to the stairs. "Hey, if Mom's awake, I'll tell her you're here. We'll have breakfast tomorrow. Today, okay?" "You bet." "You want a Percocet?" I wanted 2, in fact. He brought me drugs and a glass of water, shut off the lights, and went upstairs. I tracked a fading series of kitten squeaks as Carl trod above me. Headlights of passing cars sent frames of light skimming across the wall over my head, and I wriggled and rolled, desperate to find the least uncomfortable posture. The furnace kicked on with a hushed thump, and my unoccupied mind began to replay highlights from the day's events. This is what I could remember.